Amen.
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 Abusuafo mama yɛn na nyame ase ɛfiri sɛ oye na dɔyɛ wɔ hɔ daa.
Amen.
Amen.
Yɛda nyame ase sɛ ɛnnɛ adwoada wabɔ yɛn nyinaa yɛn ho ban na wɔde da yɛn nso akyɛ yɛn na wama yɛ akwanya sɛ yɛmɛtoa yɛn nkɔmmɔdie ɛfa abusua ho. Yɛhyɛ aseɛ ɛfiri memene da no yɛbotae nyinaa yɛ bɔhyɛ nsɛm a nyame de ama yɛn sɛ yɛfie bɛtumi ayɛ ɔsoro ketewa ɛwɔ asase yi so. Na ɛno na wɔtwe yɛsrɛ nyame sɛ ɔma yɛ adwene na ɔmmoa yɛn. Na baabi a yɛ mmerɛ no, ɔnkyerɛkyerɛ yɛn na yɛnyɛ den. Ebia nneɛma nketenkete bi wɔ hɔ a yɛnim sɛ nyame asɛm twe adwene si so a yɛbɛtumi asesa na aboa ma yɛfie ayɛ ɔsoro ketewa, anigye aba hɔ. Nti ahobrɛaseɛ kwan so no, saa mpaeɛ na wɔtwe yɛn nyinaa no yɛsrɛsrɛ ama yɛn ho. Na sɛdeɛ yɛn nyinaa anim no, yɛhyɛ aseɛ memene da no na nɔpa ne anwummerɛ no na yɛbisa asɛm baako sɛ yɛkasa busua a sɛn na aseɛ teɛ, sɛn na wosi te aseɛ ɛma wo ho. Deɛ na metaa ka no sɛ ɛnyɛ deɛ obi de agu dictionary mu a wokenkan anaasɛ biribi saa, but wo as a person no sɛn na wohu abusua, na yɛdi nkɔmmɔ kakra faa ho. Nti anɔpa ne awiadeɛ no na ɛyɛ adesua baako. Yɛkaa sɛ ɛnora ɛne nnɛ adesua no nso ɛyɛ akɔyɛ sɛ adesua a ɛyɛ ɔfa baako ne ɔfa mmienu. Yɛhwɛ similarities a ɛwɔ ɔbaa ne bɛrima ntɛm, na afei sɛdeɛ similarities yi teɛ no nso no difference anaa nsonsonoyɛ a ɛwɔ ɔbaa ne bɛrima ntɛm. Nhwehwɛmufoɔ amia te aseɛ sɛ wote biribi ase a ɛyɛ a na wodi ho dwuma a ɛyɛ a na ɛkɔ yie paa. So if you understand something, you are able to deal with it. Nti ɛnora ne n'adesua no nyinaa ne yɛsɛ sɛ meyɛ okunu anaa meyɛ ɔyere a deɛ di kan mɛte mea me ho ase yie, na afei mate me kunu anaa me yere nso ase, na afei aboa ama yɛasɔsɔ emu ho yɛn ho abia na aboa yɛn. So yesterday and today we are looking at the similarities and the difference between a man and a woman. Today's session, and deɛ no yɛato din sɛ Enra kan John Gray asɛm bi ɔka sɛ men are from Venus and women are from Mars. Na saa asɛm no sɛn na ɛsi tie nti ɛnɛ deɛ no yɛato din sɛ are men from Venus. Tenten ne tietia mu nyinaa ne yɛ sɛ mmaa ne mmarima sɛ yɛsɛ ɔmo wɔ similarities, ɔmo wɔ twaka a biribi a ɛma ɔmo ɛsɛ anaa yɛsɛ, na sɛ yɛsan wɔ biribi a ɛma yɛyɛ different a ɛneɛ na bɛrima no ɛdeɛn na ɛwɔ ne ho a ɛma no yɛ soronko ɛfa ɔbaa ho. Nti ɛnɛ yɛbɛto yɛbo ase ne ahwɛ mmarima yɛ features ne yɛ characteristics. Ɛyɛ asɛm a ɛkɔma yɛn mmarima no ɛna afei nso ɛkɔma yɛ yerenom. Sɛ woyɛ obi afei na wodwene awareɛ ho a ɛyɛ asɛm a wo nso ɛkɔma wo, ɛfiri sɛ sɛdeɛ tie biara no wote wo yere ase anaa wote wo kunu ase a ɛboa ma awareɛ no ɛtɔ yie. Na ɛmɛ mpaebɔ sɛ ɛnɛ no nyame ɛbɛtoa so no wakasa kyerɛ yɛn. Nti baabi ɛwɔ biara no momiɛnsi yɛtiri ase na yɛmmɔ mpaeɛ. Nyame dɛɛfo yɛda wo ase sɛ nnɛ nso wode yɛn nkwa kyɛ yɛn. Yɛade srɛdeɛ nyinaa yɛ baako sɛ ɛnɛ nso bie yɛakoma mu na bie yɛadwene mu na nsɛm a yɛsua yi ɛngu mu sɛ subra a ɛnweda ne yɛmfa nyɛ adwuma ɛma yɛfie nyɛ ɔsoro ketewa wɔ asase yi so. Yɛn mpaebɔ ne yɛade srɛde ne wɔ Yesu din mu. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Yo, enti enra question a yɛde ɛhyɛ aseɛ no, ana question, main question ebusa no Saturday no me suggest sɛ so obetimi da bia no ade ba ko ana mienu a wote a ugiri so obetumi aye na there and then eno no abomode atro egu little diary bi mu na chere say what the economy gidi say no question na ebusan say that's knowing that my spouse think differently. I say grammar be your think differently change anything for me. Some me dwene say me ho kani enra na focus more on the women. Some me dwene say me yire different eno na dwene ekwa fa so dwene no ye niema na different no ehun won sunsuanso bi mame ana say emma madwene sesa wo niema bi ho. That was the question yesterday. Now just a quick recap of the eka ho asem. Yehunu say yes, a man and member a lot of similarities, but they when it comes to behavior there is so much difference. Now yehunu say men by our composition are more analytical, long-term and logical thinkers. Enti ye no ye dwene eniema ho set differently kakra ya na ye ta dwene eniema e wo ye nim long-term planning the see any so long-term effects dache ho adwene pa na ya na ye ta adwene ya na etobile bia na ye wura fi se enne enso wo ho enti ehunu se ye culture mu na say ya mamre mu se ye ka se gentleman e obi a or recognizes it ne yire ana wo baby or one brabo mu no ne hu hia or go first enti ye ka se obi a gentleman as what's up no mu no baby ama or baby aba oba no sometimes ya no do say thank you you are a gentleman just say one man that honor and then respect and yes adwene nyame dia ma ye ni nyina no mema no yemfa ma ye yire no enye first in the family in our lives na bra ye yesa no e de anigye ebeba abusua nim yesan hunu se akandifo mienu entimi enra ne kodo you can't have two captains navigating a ship. Chances yes the conflict ebeba ye kan ho asem kakra yesan kan se said the Nyankopon si ball ye man omo ye very emotional, meaning said they respond more to feelings and intuition. Inti bema de obetimi aye ebeboa wo yire se ubenya bre amano. All these emotional issues can be summarized in terms of time, listening, waiting, being patient. So wunya ebre wutie wunya abotre na wanya akoma adwo ni nyina no ene ma hwehwe na se wo ye be ma na so ye sa ma wo yire a in fact what respond to ne how kese I was asase so. And I know say ye tie no ye de ebeye adwuma ye san sua say eya ne ma hia say obi be kai wo mo say omo value, because sometimes ya na fie niema ne day-to-day routines how we are involved with eno emomu refi the worth a good year Nyankopon de ahye wo mu na wo be ma no wasede anyame de ama no say you continuously remind your wife how valuable anyame aye no. Sometimes yes I will remind na keke na emomu take steps aboa amanatimi a develop sa value no. In a fe ye de mienu eka ho ba ko no last but one eka ho asempa eye respect. Say bema e wo se hunu say de oba si translate respect. Na ye hunu say respect here eye feeling is something that is in the heart. So obi a naturally ya na meka sa asem we say obi a otimididi asori pani atem otimididi sofo atem otimididi ne yire atem no, that person can insult anybody because it is not in the heart or respect for anyone. And this was study most people are yana entokwa ana watimi wakameta ba efie no So wonya obuo, especially a man, so woni obuo the man yira. Technically, ya no one tell you obuo ma obia, regardless of who you are. And I think say Nra Eddie no train your say for you to make a home, you know, the sweetest type of heaven and Jamaica ho asem no. Bema, you need to use all the faculties and Jamaica adom wo to respect your woman, and that should come from within. Should be a genuine thing. So you say bibi a wo ho e hawa enwumre what shall say a bo ho pa ye say nyame moa na nya obuo ankasa. O start if you say obuo yira, you end up respecting everyone. Our bawa bram. Na yehunu say bema ye we say nyina na it calls for a natural response. And the natural response say Oba will identify the uniqueness, say Nyankopon born special no, or identify a role a Nyamedi ashenensa ne can rules for a ho asem. Me boso keke because ye di kan aka ho asem ye ka say role ba ko so ba te ase ne ye say they were created for man ye to ebo ase chechire mu kakra. And I feel ye can say nyame bo won say omo ye aboafo, and that aboafo no ye kire say they are managers who actually translate the vision of the family into reality. Enti said the ebusuano ko bia no me ma na think high level on day-to-day basis no e ma no boa e ma no timi ebemu. And I feel they prioritize nyame abom say they should prioritize their husbands, and obebi a we say bia no ends up having that prioritization to their children and the rest of the family. Yet you say ebio nyame bo won so mo appreciate omo yeah me man no appreciate yen, because that appreciation emma edema emema no eboa emma emema nso respond with enema yedi kan ka ho asem nyina. And finally, and I know says sometimes in a lot of circles this last issue is a very controversial issue. If we say emema bi ekase obade you need to submit to a woman, and that submission actually say you have to always listen, you have to be a servant, you have to make him be an also this would be submission here. Submission is an act of respect, and you can what submission is not. Submission is not reticence. Reticence you'll be a asset you know you are mobobi and a servanthood inferior, docile, degrading. These are not what the Bible is talking about. Remember, say your warrior, your fear, our family should actually show and reveal God and the essence of God and the Trinity and the unity, the equality, the diversity. That is what the submission actually means. Then you say, Sebi, Oba Ebema Osoria na Utiatia we say also submitted to you. Yes, to ye can wasem ebiem. Na fe ye can say Nini na mono Oba Otumi edisansem wa tresem di ama yen so no. Realize say with the spirit of respect ayeka ho asem no eboa emma asumdwe ebefi. In fact something that actually buys the love of a man. In summary, they can ho asem ni bi no. Enne ye hwe no every another angle say, are men from Venus and Mema, are we so different to the point to say we are like aliens? Yedika say we are all the same species, but the behavior in a nyamia boy and slightly different. The first thing I can want someone opinion say, bra oba uhunu bema sedie ositieno by knowing men well, eboa emma or how any amane problems are ewofie no esote And the question here is, so what does this mean? What does this mean? Ade ba kwa yenim eye se yenipadua yi Nyankopɔn abɔ no very very remarkably. Wabɔ no strong, wabɔ no kyese ukɔ faculty of science, that's all her biological sections of academics, environment institutions. Now here and woman yatro about the human body, sometimes huge volumes, and yet every day we are still discovering so much about the human body. The human body is very complex and resilient. Enra yeka asemba ko na me saying etimu biem say sometimes eya na ere if you said Nyankopɔn said you will see wesi aboyen na ye so complex, ye so so what two boys now so how complex the human body is. Did say Emma what Nyankopɔn as inti bra David na woka how pervasive said nyame wo baby ya no odwene nipa hono. This is what he said. Psalm 139, I say, for you created me, my innermost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I say, and I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Our works are wonderful, and I know that full well. David didn't have to go to any institution to appreciate how wonderful the human body is. Now, adeba kwa ema sometimes nipadua no eye nwanwa eye se ohwa niema ye throw at the body niema ye de ye de ka ye nipadua na ye nipadua no still ye da so na nam ho na is just amazing. Sometimes se bran sana amayate nka se ye mpo ye yare ana bibisa. And I think it is really important, say, ye dwene efie ehono ye be hwe se de Nyankopɔn sifa boye nipadua na akayen se de Nyankopɔn ani ekun ye ho. Enti ye ka behaviors how complex this body is. Ye be hwe a mema, but ye look at mema ye from say the Nyankopɔn a create yen ya dwenimu how complex or we can be. Na yen hye free eniyema bi a yenim. Let's start with the known to the unknown. Disuafo bebre a kire say one of the things a yentimi ntiase fully eda the way Nyankopɔn bo nipa yadwene, we can never fully appreciate and understand the human brain. Adentia, you may have read or known a family. Sometimes unim abusua bi, abusua no, as long as se bibi ekoso, bibi ekoso abusua nim kama no, there is no problem. But something little, just a little trigger be, it could be something like yare. It could be a disaster be, a bofra if you have fairly text be, kura sebi nyame mane masa bofra ye nyina ni jihu so okura nyame no okofa nyinsa ba fi something, anything happens, and suddenly abusuafo a wogidi so omote ho obi anim ne ho, we understand each other, Yakoba life is moving on as it should. And suddenly, the real character in the body, the real complexity of this person starts unraveling. To say, suddenly, saadie na esi na akoyi nipa ni subayan kasa epie. Na him say this is one area ema aware any family issues sometimes very very difficult for you nyina. Nti let us start today with a very important warning for you nyina say, and this is something that personally I have come to appreciate. And this is what it says. Say, it is a mistake se medwene se ma worry for a very long time into me meyere pa. And I say meyere a worry me for 20 years, 30 years into me ye. It is dangerous to actually think like that. Adentia, because we are saying, say, the human body is a very complex, ecosystem, cluster of systems, and it keeps developing, it keeps changing, it keeps getting even more complex and complicated. But you can never fully understand. Now, what this actually means, say mean fully, then I must take every day as an opportunity to learn something. Because even it is an institution of lifelong learning. Because you are in a collision course for life. Our institution where you will never fully understand the other one. Say disaster, say DMB ebebe bia no yebetumi aba from near prayer ho ase ne ebusa ye ho say the lesson be na de man ye about my spouse Martina see, because God created us fearfully, wonderfully, and so complex. And that is where we want to start with Bibia Eka ho asem. Now, because this is so important, let me suggest a few things. Nyamiadom adisuafo na sabode mu nhwemufo aye a lot of studies. Said ebe complement the nimono na boa ma yen ayate ho ase ye na boa ma debia nso ne yate yerenom ne yekunom ase. And there are two tools. Personally, I have used them, and it has actually made a huge difference in my life. Many Benes worry, about 12 years in me, from 2008. About 12 years in me. And there are some things, even this year, in a mete I say about her. And say, Afe, and I will go into a relationship. Now say, first year, second year. Bibia Banaso Kasa Mirina Mekoware and say no TNT, I'm thinking of divorce. Hold it. You have a long way to go. You have so much years ahead of you to start understanding the person. Indeed, what are we saying? These two tools, I'm not saying say to give you everything, but it means to say any opportunity for you to learn more about yourself and about your spouse, you must do, and you must take advantage of. Ebia, now say internet near the identity, you don't even need to really become a savvy, and also be aware so much geek. And some way to me, I they making. So this is a very important tool. Menkanesa, a boy, my relationship, it's me, inyini, bako. What we call personality test. Personality test, a simple website na to humanmetrics.com. A free tool. Now, what it does, say, we answer some questions, also answer some questions. Na munyinano, mamo some areas based on the questions where you are no a boy identify areas a bit me improve, areas a bit me anyini. Now, it is so wonderful. Say, so we now we na sa motena se enkomo a etwetwen ba ne de emutimi di ho nkomo na sa mo amode totomo bra ho a, how it allows you to be objective about yourself. Eboama utimi biebie wo a wasetenam na niema ekoso ema motem ho ase ema mo topics ema mo start di ho nkomo about mo life, and it's so good. Mintimi nkomo but say, if there is any way that we can be of assistance, is something that we can look at. But another, I'm just highlighting them. It's a very important tool. It gives you different areas of your marriage, of your life. Now, the kind of person you are living with. Now, the kind of person you are. One or being for could be a friend. Johari or window be for window be our chere baby say no, there are so many things about you wunim. It takes somebody around you to help you to know and identify who you are. It's really important say your best subject here warrior no ye fear ye busua any nkitahudia ye wono no to some of this na boyen ame who we are and how we can have a peaceful home. Remember, marriage is work in progress every day. The second tool, in fact, this tool this year, and it is something that I've used and it is really, really helpful. Especially young people. So it is still important for you to do this because what it does, before so best step into marriage, areas say, am I this, am I that? And I'm out to start on a better note. Let me give you an example. One of them is agreeableness. Okay, so it measures the scale. Say, send you see a geniematum. Yeah, send you see geniematum. How do we agree on things? To assume you say straight away, I feel I'm mobile worry, and Asamoah worry, yenche. They be anto. Then you go through this too, and you realize that Oyire has a weakness of agreeing to anything. Baby a free baby or problem. But we are the opposite. We are you catch because of the way you were brought up, no makeup, you catch straight away you see there's a problem. So you need to find a way to talk about this and find a way. Some of these tools and some suggestions say, share these areas come together. Remember, when you come in the middle grounds, that is where the oneness and it's something that I'll recommend to a lot of young families and even families. Remember, if you are worried for 30 years, you still have a lot to know about your spouse. Right. Enra, you started by looking at the scans of the brain of the woman and the man. You call a man dinum kakra ya nkoni nyida mu de ba chekum kakra but enne me pese ye fa brain ye call a mema nso mu edie e kakra and what implication it has for aware no anase ebusua no. Enti minim say obia or brack no obia na obia oti adesua bia no bia no take steps so be make Bema be take steps will be making the woman or be making oba no the first in the house. What about our women? What are you going to do for the men? Well, one of the things that you say with the kind of mindset men spend more time thinking. Into a member natural beings we will spend more time thinking, not just thinking about subject, but we also think through into your bedroom adrene. My first question you say, so when you're bar you've never thought about say who can always will think so much about issues knowing so who can adrene about every single issue in the house. And how does it help you? How does it change you? How to relate with him. And well, I think say it does. Say can't because your behavior. Se wofa oba adwene eto ho na se wo measure uwe na se wofa be ma adwene na se uwe physically no the two brains baako emu odu chen baako eso e chen baako and it just reaffirm the thinking capability of the man. And it is by nature, is by that is how it is. And a mema no are slightly bigger in size, but yenim say a mema are naturally big, strong, thick skin, built, muscular, and omunyine, muscular, You see, this is a very common knowledge. But the question here say it has so much implication. Oh, so let me give you why I say this, why this is important. Say me Obama, na se me do me yere pa, and I say me the responsible leader in the house. Me buadi abusuani nyina akọ, but I know say me yere the way anyame abono no physically or ye a bit weaker than me. Just think about it. What does it mean? Let's say wo wepra bema no wo wepra wo yere nso wepra. Now what does this what implication does this point ayeka ho asemi no have on ebusuano? The idea say so wo be pra ni pra na more severe than bema. It is a mere bema, not a mere very responsible in the house, knowing say I have a manly duty in the house. So me catch me say we pray. I wouldn't consider ni prayer no to say me prayer, because I am stronger, I'm muscular, I'm well built. So bibi in the me cry na me wound no is not as deep and as hurting as my wife. And these little things are way and changing in media mayen say to appreciate how to bring the family together and make the family a home, a kind of a home where there is much peace. And you can take other scenarios, but I'm just listing some of these things. Now, once what's Nasia, what you know say, what implication? Sandy ma yeka ho asemi no, ensunsuan so ben na wo ema yabusuan. Ebi a yeka ho asem ne nim se yema ewo upper body lighter than the lower part of their body. And remember ye opposite. Why? Because Nyankopon boy and say we should be hardworking, we should be working, doing those forceful work into we're building in for that. Does it make any difference to you as a man, as a woman, knowing even these physical features and the implication in the family? The Nyamiye Yebiano has a reason, and as part of understanding you need to take some of these and the lessons they give you. But let's also say in him say a man use the a member use the left side, which and the man use the right side, which is the creativity. All these physical features implication ben a day man and we can spend the whole afternoon talking about this. But I'm just drawing up your attention to them. Say, don't take these things for granted. In this Nyamika say, our an institution of a lifetime. There is so much that you are going to spend your life thinking and knowing and learning about each other. And I've just highlighted a few which help us. And what do this mean? And I'm going to suggest maybe 6 or 7 main things that set men apart from women. Na aboyen ama ema na tie mema si mema nso yehu ye na yetimi ama ye fie aye ni fie. One, really important, say, based on the composition and the makeup of men, bema bia edwene say we are very, very proud to be a man. Men have this tendency, and that proudness, that pride, I'm not talking of this in the negative sense, but it is a self-valued pride with a sense of achievement. The key thing, it was how pride towards achievement. When him said, Bema achieve BBA, they may not make so much noise about that, but inwardly, they feel so appreciative of themselves. Say, I've done it. It is done. the question is, Emma any biana. We are not saying say Emma any bikra, but we are looking in terms of one I want most, one I want more. Men have this self-value. And important the consequences of this as in our marriage. Let's look at what it actually means. It means to say a mema ehu womo say so want me achieve bibia then we valueless. Nisu nimfaso and say nisu nimfaso dia then abrabokra has no meaning. Now, one of you know, or being back or being for back could be a lot of studies or yeah, this now or start a lot of YouTube videos for the past about 4 or 5 years. And the YouTube videos na someone no can you say so yeah bema wunyinia. And what's a wunya BBC when so you need to have a meaning. You know, in fact, or in general, say, you know, life, you should have a meaning in life. What it ended up being, ASA, in Nipa, almost try, say, almost and about 90% of them happen to be men. And this psychologist was no Busano who said, how come Sasemi may come over, but suddenly a member takes this so, you know, seriously, especially young people. And nipa no nyomo kasa ne bebre nipa omotias asese de omunye, you know, they don't have any meaning, no so no akwaduma no aba no live life just like that, and you know, without any meaning and purpose. And based on the study so ye ni na came to the conclusion say you can't nipa more likely to commit suicide a mema adentia, because the moment they lose the points, their value in this life becomes, you know, meaningless to them. And for sure, life and so be ending the life. Now, my question I make say, how does this help you as a wife when you are dealing with your husband? We will be sometimes, you know, say attended ba noa. Ultimate dress nipa no ema no efili say or a waste or a nothing. And it has so much for us, especially young 24. I work room has say. But begidi senumre nyame maye ye nyina no otwe adwene si how as a woman you must allow this information to help you ebeboa amu wabusua aye ye. And yeah, non say, remember the key thing I can't hold your achievement and so your responsibility. Now saying me modin na me ne abusua bi din kita ho kakra. Na o hawa na ewo ho abusua nim nyina na yese nipa yi abe fa so maware omo ya warefo na omo be ware ye no na baako ewo fie ewo Ghana efie no e din na da so. In fact, me can say, "Ono abone bra, obana abone bra no wasi ni fie ni bibi ansa no wabeware." But be man abrabo no nche down ko the way anenka wase ekono papa enti as a or struggle, you know, in life kakra. But ombe ware, you know, niema ekoso omu nyina ekabom. Ebeye almost about 5 years echi afi na be man no lifestyle no I started jinsem. Enti nkomodidie mu no Asamoah obeka na yese oba create me asifie na se me nsifie ni bia na che se life no kra na brabo na boy na brochi na mba na so mfa so no say. And that typifies men mentality. In fact, most men mentality. Ebia we say extreme with building, but there are so many, you know, trivial things around the home. Se bema no emfili se oye responsible, omfili se oye bibi, omfili se, you know, obwa ama bibi akoso. Then life in itself, you know, becomes meaningless to them. Enti se oye oba, one of the things I'll bet me aye dia bua ama efie eniji abaho eye se regardless of how good you are, how strong you are, work with your spouse, work with your husband, make them feel valued, make them have that value, right in themselves. Manim feel say me yere de or ma mia metimi ehu say me valuable. And once you do that, everything will come back to you. Because remember, the sense of responsibility is say, if I have something, I'm using it, me de boa amenkoso. But that is what responsibility means. And I believe it's something that we will consider. And again, what does this mean? It means, say, be me be anywhere or be person or you're dependent. Because being dependent is a sign, say, you are not a man, you are not in charge, you are not responsible. And how do you work this out? I believe, say, munkomo diemono, you will know how you can help this out. Again, adia emema mohomoden say, when they feel lost, remember we are looking at how the brain is wired to affect behavior. And when a man feels lost in the home, so if you say, if as one kahon, as an appendix, as an extension of the ekosu hubiana, his body now, but everything else is gone. And I think this is something that especially they are bringing the home together as a home. And finally, on this particular point, I want to say, men see themselves as as of no value when they don't do the things they need to do. With him say, so back so he no failure, number so he no failure. With him the reaction a bit more severe. Chances are that it's going to be the man, because they want to be seen, they want to be in charge, they want things to move on. And sometimes in those times, they feel so low. All that you need to do is to make them feel valuable. That is all. And that is where women are at their best. And we are saying, say, this pride, and I'm not saying this, pride in the negative sense, but it's something that gets men going. And if it's not, then it's repressed inside. It hurts, it kills, powerless, and it affects the entire family. What again are we saying? The second key point, ASA, and this is really important. I would say, men are people of things. Yepeniema, Mema, and who said they are more of people. There was a recent study. In fact, one of the egalitarian states, that they try to bring a lot of equality, between men and women, is the Scandinavian countries. And only a study because they try to give equal opportunities to say, we are bar, we are Burma, you have this equality, you can be whatever you want to be, you can do whatever you want to be. In fact, they promoted most of these things. Now I'm saying there was a study which came out, and with all this political, initiative, legal legislations, it is still the case, say, majority of women are in the sector. They are in the area they deal with human beings. And you see a lot of the men still within the men, engineering and these kind of areas. Why? Because that is part of how God, remember, the physical state, we talked about even the shape, said men are built physically to do hard stuff. And because of this whole behavior tendency, was a yetiasie e we abusua mu say mikunu ebetimi aye so much interested e won adwuma mu to the point say you really be say me wo yire e wo ma. So ye bema, you need to understand that. We oba, you need to also know that. And remember, enwe can be ho asem say balance. And one of the best thing oba ebetimi aye amanekunu is to always remind Bema say, yes, as a man, you are interested in things. And yes, Abia, I'm so much interested in people. Yes. But you need to have a balance. You need to moderate. Because sometimes, a member, yes, sir, without even knowing, without even having a clue, say, on you need to keep drawing the man's idea. Now, there's a beautiful story in the Bible, and for me, one of the people are me heroine, in the Bible, Abigail, because Abigail gives us how a woman thinking said then, say life in about job, said then. Abigail gives us a plan, a paradigm. Itimeboa to bring the man back into the family. You know the story. But let me just give a highlight. We know, say Abigail, any neighbor, Nikunu, they were apple and oranges, they were mismatched. Because so what kind about neighbor, the character, said you see in the completely the opposite. How will somebody like Nabal even marry somebody like Abigail? But that was the case. Very insolent, senseless, always making wrong choices, Nabal. One day we know the story. Abigail, here said David, David eba abe kunikuno. And she gets out. On the kokasa, make peace. What does she do? Oko David ho, command Adriane. A beautiful poem. First Samuel chapter 25, 26, and the whole of 25. Can't we say in actually David? And there is a phrase. So we do First Samuel chapter 25, verse 26, between 26 and 31. There's a phrase, and I want to stress on that phrase, or say, the Lord saving David from blood guilt and from saving with your own hand. Or make this very important statement. Say, Enam Abigail interference, the Abigail koye nintino. The Lord saved David from blood guilt. Nyankopon eje David efree now, why am I stressing on this? Because sometimes we even miss this point. You see, throughout David life, we know the story of David. Saul was making a lot of, everything was about him, me. But David always was dependent on God. But this is one of the moments where David decided to step out of the dependency on God and do things his own way. And David was going to do something that he had never done before. He was going away from his path of ensuring, before David would act, this time David was taking matters into his hand. But because Abigail was so wise and intervened on behalf of the husband, and Abigail did not only save the husband, Nabal, but saved David from committing sin. Now, what that teaches me, what that tells me, ASA, if you are a woman, regardless of situation or husband, a woman, if you are very wise and very thoughtful, so what say, I'm going to do everything to save my husband, do you know what will happen? That thing, ama wenya enkwano betre to people within the circle of friends of uknono, people that uknono interact, almost are going to suffer the consequences of their actions, including uknono actions. Inti say Bible eka kyerɛ say we should be wise, we should understand our husband, we should support them, we should actually know where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, and out of the wisdom and God is not actually asking you to save only your husband, but save people even around your husband. And I think it's a very important lesson we shouldn't miss. I would encourage, say, if you are a wife, regardless of the family situation, never give up on your husband. Yes, there are so many stories, and I think COVID by we have been exposed big time. We've been exposed because I think we have become a generation that we love work, because it doesn't make sense. Most people, government, you catch us setting a fee, mama, a fellow, 80%, we still had a problem with that, hadn't you? Because we love work, we want to be at work. Life has been about work and at the expense of our family. But I believe, and Abigail, one, we can be wise and very supportive and bring our, create that balance and bring our men home. And we must also understand our vulnerability. There was a jitum say, because of our make, and we can easily fall into the world of things and forget. So God has made us leaders in our homes to make our home a sweet type of heaven on earth. And that's the second point. The first point here, men and pride, pride in terms of the achievement and, the fact that that achievement is linked with value. And the second one, ASA, easily you have that vulnerability as a man to be stuck in work. And a woman, Mr. try to bring the balance. Have a conversation about this. Have a chat about this. And it has really, really helped me. Sometimes there were times I struggled to say no. And Yamiadum and me can know in such a way, say it doesn't hurt. And Eboa, because my first job as a husband is to ensure that there is home and there are people who are looking up to me and the leadership skill and Yamidia to bring this family to heaven. The third thing, communication. What are we saying about communication? We say men, because of our makeup, of course, our cognitive, the way we talk more about facts, and talk more about feelings. Of course, feelings is one subset of emotion. Feelings, intuition. I didn't say calculating mass now, so until we have to get going. That is, where do we start on this one? Let me start by saying, we are gradually, it is skewing towards communicating facts more than feelings. Now, the reason why I say this, especially within the Western world, we prefer having systems. And of course, systems are good. You need systems for things to work. Without systems, nothing can work. And the systems are good. And for you to have a system, you're saying, and idea can tree saying, I'm not talking about planning, but systems to say, and she say, Basi, it was a non-Kunubian eba, into non-Kunonosoa, it was a, but that is a system. And I say, Plane, I was say to this time, you know, I was say way, also drew. These are systems. A boy, Emma society, a run kama. And of course, you fear you hear systems when you can want them. You hear systems say, you see, Kaya Gieni, into ni Emmanuel say, into we need to have a system, whether it's a budget, any year, Yema we say Nieto, Niwini, we need that system. But the problem with system, ASA, system doesn't have any eyes for feelings. Inti semi system, na semi ye bema, chances ASA and Shishaya ye ufieni. Say ni yakano, you say this month, and abusumi biano, you be £120. This month, you are spending £120. We still have 15 days to go to the end of the month. But I'm sorry, we cannot budge on this. You see, sometimes, and again, the previous point, you can balance and we need to appreciate, say, systems are only good when it meets a bois emma and ye may see any so on you drew. Because the opposite, and in himself, you know, mano, a bois, you know, I don't know, you hear, can be as well, see, and he says, who's going who you hear, and in him quite be fast, but you hear. We need to find a middle ground. We need to talk in terms of the facts. Yes, you can facts in Huasem. You can say na DNA, but I was here jitum say feelings. Sometimes do you know say and as a husband, you need to understand say there are times I wasn't here to be from. And maybe I bet to go a lot of times. Because when it comes to dealing with humans, systems are always not the only way to perfection. And yes, idea was you so then all the time. Of course, the opposite is it also worse. For feelings in your feel I don't know, you know, you know, you can never run, you know, a house with feelings. But all that we are saying here, we all need to appreciate each other. There wasn't a team say they all kind of sometimes systems you have to throw it away. As you to go now or bounce on so as a feelings it was a train a benefit. See, and fast systems now near Juma a bit here a back of na yame empese sa eba. Enti important who here see a negotiating a brain into. I'm just going to rush through the rest. Na ebia sasimbise biba yenyina ya ayeduma. Die etoso ennan ayeka ho asem yaka we ho asem kakra chronology. Men think in terms of sequence. Enti yefri baako a yekomienu ansa na yakomiensa. Yemfri miensa enkonum ansa na yaba. You know, yempeke entries. Remember the scan now you try it about the brain, the frontal say the connections ne free when echo wachino meant say those are sequential ways, you know, in this woman kind of say in the but you who said your man the end was this way zigzag enti mitimis start to say me can we say no ma can we say na makofa we say aba na meja we say na it's all over the place. And who here said yet the issue of chronology as so wo dwene bibi eho in sequence yeah na sometimes ehiamre unim say and I can speak for myself until I can be vulnerable here. The worry for front there was one thing sometimes ya na mitimi ye din na me ye din bia ya na me adwene na me koma aware mu foforo no. There were some times Benes kasa me ho a mate asem na wo ka no me process. In fact, I'm even thinking of solution straight away. But the mistake I was doing, say, between the time I'm thinking and the time my first statement be free manuamba with a possible solution, maybe I'm a mere man for about maybe 5 or 10 minutes. No, because I'm just focusing on the kind of the problem at stake. Do you know, I later realized, say, that time na me no meant to say, I don't care about her. Or kasame hua, and it took me a lot of time to appreciate, say, I was making things difficult for her and for myself. And I remember when we started to talk about this attribute, what I was saying is that most of the time, all that I needed to say was say, okay, but because I wasn't able to say these things, it led to and now I understand why she was saying that. I'm being vulnerable here because I'm sure I'm not the only person who experiencing this. And may have our own different experiences. In fact, watch out, you are going to have this. But what a woman can do to help the husband, when you say something, allow some processing time and say that again. Lately, a buame, meka, unim, matedia wokano. But when we say, may a day we say, into the yanka wasem this time. But she will go on to say, when you say yanka wasem later, no, this time, no, brebe wasem, and she will actually force me to make a commitment of time. Say, okay, I'm 1 hour. I say, okay, about 9 until I'll come back at 10 o'clock. Straight away, we have struck a deal. And 10 o'clock, sometimes we come back and we discuss this. And these are little things, because we need to learn from our spouses and know who they are. Na boy amasumdua ye ka ho asem no abafie me dey ato dear wife say we sometimes no need patience say we kunu ayedin into dwen say wontie na fa ho ekodin tokwa eba omikunu kro no me no abeware mabesi abruche na me kasa ho na me nkwa me shedem na ye ya misrew eya na wotie, because that is how God has created us as men. We use our skill of chronology, our sequencing skill, because we want to think through and through and through. And Ebua, Emma, Asumdue, Ebefie. So this is the fourth thing. I'm just Ebua, Emma Yefie, Yenya Asumdue Kakra. The last two, I make a Bako, and the meaning say a popular thing. I name. Now the reason why I wanted to chip this in, I say, and Chebe na me din komobi. Now, and Komono was about beauty. And of course, it's not secret, say, a mema prefer to see their wives attractive. And a ma, and so always want to see themselves. In fact, they want to be attractive. We know that to be a fact. But the striking me, when we say attractive, what is it? And I was looking at that, is there even a study? A lot of people say, when we talk about attraction, what exactly it is it? And one thing that I have come to appreciate is the smile of women. And say, we oba anyamia boao wo ebusuya wo deficiency with smiling and then me srew say empaye bia ne akomkyere bia wo se wo bo emenya me boa wo ema wotimi start esre no me srew yiro ho nebo. Because do you know, men are attracted by the smiles of their wife more than even what they were. I didn't know this a long time ago. And why do I have even the the authority to even suggest something like this. It is not me saying. This is proven by a lot of studies by psychologists who say most of the problems in the homes are resolved by a simple smile. And a lot of examples to prove it. But let's say this. Say Sebema and Sria, it is bad. So Ba and Sria, it is worse. And maybe let me put it that way. How can we ensure that there is life in the house with a smile? When a woman so Ba Asia obi na so person o ware no na so kofia na so koka kire ne kunu se sorry koka kire ebusuafo se maame papa menya bema bi a mepese e ware na me ware na na se me ho kani a the first question a mema no and I say even ebusuafo na nafofo ni bebusa no it's not about beauty. Mbebusa say na bema not saying we ska na adwuma be na oye ni suba te saying se mema ehu oba bi na so peso oware na so ne boys hia busa no na oba no ne ho ofa na e na ho ofe no. What does it mean? All that we are saying here is God wants our women to be like flowers. Yana metako wedding asina say a futu neighbor say a man sometimes I warn niema bemu suddenly ube hona ho ofe no yes, it is difficult, it is tough. But enema tough for mema, and we are saying enema tough for a ma also. But it has to come through conversation, through negotiation. But the key thing that I will stress here is never allow your smile to leave your home, because it will leave. The attraction, some of them come through the sight. Remember, we say men are stimulated by what they see, and Emma are more about their feelings, their touch, because that is part of the Emma omo ehunu eniji no. But the sight of men is really important. But I'm just bringing some of these things. Near to me, I share kwanya ye bit me afaso ama ye fie aye enije. Ade ba ko anansan akwanhwefo and the entire me we say shame am person me stress wo ho no say. Did you know say a mema knows say bibia ne boarding bia no e valuable, and I talk about value, I can't value once and bibia ne boarding bia no valuable gem bia, and you have to mine it. It was a wutu, it was a bre. I mean, talk of gold, talk of pearl, talk of diamond. You have to mine it. You have to go through a lot to get that precious gem. A mema is stimulated by what they see, except say so who send the precious gems and they are always available for other people to see. That is a sign of disaster. Unfortunately, especially young people are worried, and sometimes who say our gems must be protected. There was a by and the gems ni go abonting. I'm not talking about GERMS. I'm talking about GEMS. Sometimes the way and I have seen a busuabia and to question den if we say Obana say or per se or dressing man who yefe. Forgetting said dressing or dressing man who yefe no. Beman interpreted the whole thing so a promiscuous, or the whole church abonting. And that is something that we must remember as a ma and a mema. Yes, mema want to see, and of course, they want to see more of this when you are together and having intimate moments, but not when you are outside and showing it to the world. Important. Say yete as here. The last thing I can near Bohompa ye say So your bar, and this is where I end with a very somber note. When him say who can go through or how said then who will never ask for help. Men struggle to ask for help. Adentia. Remember, we are talking about yesterday with pride of being a man. The strength of manliness is the ability to see themselves as valuable, as having achievements, doing things. And sometimes, the act of asking for help is a sign of weakness. Inti, what him say? It could be say Uknu is getting to the point of burning out, of breaking down, of dying, but will never ask. What's a buano? And again, I go back to my superheroine. Be an Abigail, be a wise woman. Sometimes just sit back, watch your husband, and ask the most difficult questions. And that difficult questions will bring out the help I will hear. Of course, a man also here say yes, but sorry, but we are focusing on men because Nancy, one of the big things Wukrum has said, mental health issues. It is very, very interesting. Say most men are suffering from mental health issues. Or more mental state are at the point of kind of say, and we are not intimian recover. And I will plead with your man say, sometimes just sit back, help a man to break the routines of work. Almost stop ejuma, almost stop this whole macho attitude. Say I need this done. I see a way say just find a way and get them to step back because they need help. And say yes sir. Oba utimi ye way say no. What you would have done, you would have bought the love, the care of your husband. You see, men cannot resist to love back when they know their wives are honest, loving, caring, and they are always there for them. And I pray, say, enema yeka ho asem nyina no, ye nyina ebetena ase. Ye bedwene ye bremu, ye bedwene ye warrior mu. Remember, ade ba ko ehia me ye say, regardless of infiedudu awari nyina no, you are still on a collision course to know your wife, know your husband. But then you focus more on men to know your man. Say ye we say no nyina eduodo eni asumdwe ebebe fie. I want us to leave today with a very interesting reminder. Mrs. White in God cares, or say no other influence that can surround the human soul has such power as the influence of an unselfish life. I want you to, and I want you to remember that word, unselfish life. The strongest argument in favor of the gospel is a loving and lovable Christian. You see, the year came in sometimes ye do nyame ye sum nyame. But if we don't have an unselfish attitude, say, I want to do everything for my husband, I want to do everything for my wife to feel love, to feel happy, to feel worth and valuable, I would struggle to find the peace and the sweetness ayeka ho asem se bebe fie no. Emempa ebo se yebeto aso na yebedwene yekununum ene yeyerenom ho differently efre ne. Bra ye tie ho ase ne yete omase no na boama enhyiamudie ene nkita ho. The relationship, the sweetest type of heaven ayeka ho asem no yensa aka wo fie. Nyame no mo ayen no nhyira yen. Ebra yede enedie nisi. And so the question that we live with is, does knowing that my husband think differently change anything for me? Nyame nhyira yen. Se me adwene ho se me kunu adwene differently or adwene differently from me eno eboa me na nyasunso aso bi e o me brɛ mu ana. Nyame nhyira yen na onom yen e wo ne din mu da. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. The asida the ma Nyankopon adro so pastor on some of their mind. Pacho a kind the house will be was bisa pastor say Pacho you are happy to take questions.
Pacho.
Okay. Pacho obi wo asem bisa kind the ho with me bisa.
Pacho, if you free Accra, Ghana.
Oh, thank God.
Hello?
Pacho koso kasa Pacho.